again!
It's over!
He's done it again! Unbelievable!
Oh, straight into the roof of the net.
Nice one.
Straight down the middle. So a good performance from both.
Hi, you're watching Firstpost. I'm Rupha Ramani. Let's get started. On the show today, the India-Pakistan standoff continues in sport. A Pakistan legend who's well loved in India. Shoaib Akhtar's YouTube channel has been banned, and now Shahid Afridi has been caught in a storm after he blames the Indian Army for the terror attack. More on this developing story coming up. The Indian Premier League, meanwhile, witnessed the biggest moment in the tournament in all of its 18 years of existence when 14-year-old Vaibhav Suryavanshi slammed 100, breaking multiple records. But we ask, how secure is his path here on at a time when social media is a threatening entity, has a life of its own, and you are being scrutinized every second of your life? Will Vaibhav break the norm? And trouble seems to be brewing for US President Donald Trump. Many members of the Super Bowl winning team of Philadelphia Eagles skipped the White House visit. Reason given was conflicting schedules. But is there more to this? Was there a boycott? But first, a look at the headlines on Sports 360. Starting with cricket and the Indian Premier League, BCCI is looking to expand the tournament to a 94-match season from 2028 onwards, says IPL chairman Arun Dhumal. The module will include all the teams competing with home and away fixtures. The tournament currently is played over 74 matches, with 10 teams being divided into the two groups. Former India cricketer R. Ashwin was conferred with India's fourth highest civilian award, Padma Shri, by President Draupadi Murmu during a ceremony in Delhi. Ashwin helped India win the 2011 ODI World Cup and the 2013 Champions Trophy. The cricketer has 750 scalps in his international career. Ashwin, who retired from all formats earlier this year, is currently playing for Chennai at the Indian Premier League. In football, Arsenal supporters have urged the club to file a complaint over less tickets for the Champions League semi-final clash against Paris Saint-Germain. The club were given 2,000 tickets for the Paris leg of the fixture, which is less than 500 of the designated tickets that's allotted for each of the away games. London Mayor Sadiq Khan wants the city to host the 2040 Olympics as part of an ambition to make London the world's sporting capital. Khan cited the economic dividends of hosting the Olympics and said the city will submit a formal expression of intent and interest to the governing body in September. And power outages in Spain, Portugal and parts of France affected many sporting tournaments. In Spain, the ongoing Madrid Open plunged into darkness when 2 ATP singles and a doubles matches were underway. A total of 22 matches had to be cancelled. Play, of course, will resume later today. The tensions between India and Pakistan are escalating after the terror attack in Kashmir's Pahalgam, and despite being on the back foot here, Pakistan continues to be defiant and stubborn, particularly their cricketing fraternity. While the PCB chief Mohsin Naqvi is making delusional statements and getting trolled for it, one of their former captains has sparked a row after insulting the Indian Army. He blamed the Indian Army forces for the crime in Pahalgam. And it is controversy's favourite child, Shahid Afridi, with his tall claims, who's been caught in the middle of this storm. Instead of condemning the attack or even criticising his own regime for staying quiet all of this while, the former Pakistan captain hit a new low by shifting the blame onto India.
Even if a cracker bursts in India, they blame it on Pakistan. You have an 8 lakh strong army in Kashmir, yet this happened. This means you are useless, not being able to provide security to people.
What Afridi has done here is called out the victims for not being cautious enough, because according to him, terrorists aren't at fault here. It is the civilians who needed to be wary of these attacks. Not the first time Afridi has come out with such statements. Even during the 26/11 attack, the cricketer brought religion into the picture. And while he was still let off for his remarks back then, this time he faced the wrath of the social media. his former teammate Danish Kanaria to slam the cricketer for his illogical and heartless remarks.
He has consistently aligned himself with the extremist views. In my opinion, he should not be given a platform on Indian television or within the country.
Not too long ago, India imposed massive restrictions on Pakistan, and the latest has been banning 16 YouTube channels in the country, including some prominent news outlets too. Importantly, former Pakistan cricketer Shoaib Akhtar's YouTube page. This despite, unlike Afridi, Akhtar has kept his statements on his platform reserved to cricket and around the analysis of the games. The reason why he has been a very popular figure in the country. Shoaib Akhtar's YouTube page being banned has reflected a much broader point here, that India will not back down in its fight against terrorism any day, in this case Pakistan, harboring and funding such acts, and that act will encompass not just strategic and political actions and decisions, but also hit where it hurts them the most, which is cricket. Because Pakistan is clearly failing to read the room. If Afridi deigned to make such a statement, PCB chief Mohsin Naqvi wasn't too far behind either.
India couldn't tolerate Pakistan's economic growth. The world must see how the country that claims to be the largest democracy is using terrorism to achieve its objectives.
The PCB chief, who is also the Interior Minister of Pakistan, has failed to do his proper research before making bizarre claims. But maybe we can do that for him now. Pakistan's per capita income is $1,300, almost half of India. The inflation is soaring high at 37.9%. The foreign exchange reserves have dwindled to $15.4 billion, which will only cover 2 weeks of essential imports. Despite this, PCB chief Naqvi claiming that India is jealous of Pakistan just sounds rather absurd. And the PCB chief was trolled online for this very statement. A loop that is all too familiar with Pakistan's cricketing system. A botched up ICC tournament, and PCB and the management will immediately try to find who to pin the blame on. And that ranges from the selector to the coaches to even the captains. Hence the musical chairs in the cricketing setup in the country. That has led to nothing more than more failures. Maybe Pakistan needs to learn its lessons from the grave errors that they've committed on the cricket field. Because if they follow that same tactics, they will face the same fate in the geopolitical world too. There's one name that a whole country is surely going to remember for a while to come, and that's Vaibhav Suryavanshi. I had to pinch myself last night as I watched a 14-year-old dismantling a proper, experienced international bowling attack. And I say dismantled because that's how it unfolded. It was not just any performance. This teenager put in the best performance in the entire tournament so far. We talk of superstars shining bright in the Indian Premier League. Here's a school kid who has completely owned the stage. That knock last night did many things. Let's get the records out of the way here. He scored the second fastest 100 in the league, right behind Chris Gayle, a grown adult Gayle who struck a storm that night, which is unforgettable even today. And this list here, of course, means that he's also the second fastest Indian to score 100, going past Yusuf Pathan and, of course, leaving David Miller as well. Yes, he's just 14. And this knock also meant he's the youngest to achieve this feat, going past the likes of Manish Pandey, who did it when he was 19, Rishabh Pant at 20, and of course Devdutt Padikkal as well when he was 20 years old. The internet exploded, needless to say, because this is unprecedented. The world was not ready when a young 16-year-old showed what batting really truly meant, what a batting masterclass really was meant to do. And this year, last night, probably came closest to that feeling. No surprises, it had to be another Indian emulating what a teenager Sachin Tendulkar brought out in a cricket fan way back then. There was no internet, no memes back when Sachin shook all cricketing logic and threw away the rule book. Here's what social media made of the storm that hit us all last night. And of course, all the best in the business, legends of the game from Sean Pollock, Ian Bishop to Sachin Tendulkar himself heaped praise on this Rajasthan royal find. To think that Rajasthan came under severe fire for their dismal performances just a week ago, and one of the reasons was this, how they're more focused on grooming talents and picking up young sparks than really focusing on the bigger picture, which is winning a title. But that very process got us to witness what the cricketing world hadn't seen in a long, long while. And it is such moments, such unbelievable brilliance that really makes watching sport worth it all. It made Rahul Dravid forget he was in a wheelchair for a moment. And the one other thing that matched the scintillating knock and how Vaibhav was really toying with one of the best franchises in the league this season was the look of pure joy, pride and awe that was on the faces of every single Rajasthan franchise member, including Vaibhav's partner at the other end, Yashasvi Jaiswal, who was happy taking a backseat to just watch the mayhem in front of him. That was it for me. Pollock says this will have to be the best knock IPL has ever seen, and sure, you could argue if he was getting swept away by the moment, but really, how can you evade this? When have we ever seen a 14-year-old do this, create magic like none other before him? That beats a legendary show of might and skill any given day. But the tough part starts now. The kid who was just that, a child till some days ago, now has 1 million followers on Instagram at 14. When we were all still wondering what we wanted to be, what we wanted to do with our lives, comes a star an entire nation was waiting for. There are, of course, parallels that's going to be drawn and already have been. Comparisons being made. What can he be 10 years from now? Can he keep this going? Will he be able to handle all the fandom? Will he be overwhelmed? Sachin's brilliance, and I'm, by the way, bringing in the maestro here for comparison only because he's the other teenager to have really burst onto the scene in such a dramatic fashion and against a famed bowling attack. To go on to do something no cricketer had ever done before, become a legend of the game. I cannot possibly compare the two based on skills and talent. That would be unfair and incorrect. So yes, coming back to my point, Sachin's brilliance spread through murmurs, newspaper clippings, people scurrying to watch him play when there was no full-time broadcasters around. He was blessed to have jumped out at a time when social media isn't the monster it is today, when there still was some sense of privacy and you could hone yourself with some level of solitude. You were not constantly watched, scrutinized, followed and critiqued. There was a sense of sanctity that doesn't exist today, not anymore. You're not alone. And if you are a cricketer in India, more so. Solace and me time are words you will just have to forget. And that's the biggest concern for the young Vaibhav now. We've seen the most talented kids get waylaid, get lost somewhere in the manic fabric of a sport that is devoured in the country. We've seen the brightest get consumed in matters that are beyond the concerns of 22 yards. It happened to a young Prithvi Shaw. It's happened to many others. And mind you, Vaibhav has done this before. Under 19 Asia Cup. top display, Test 100 against Australia, triple century in domestic circuit. He is not new to performing big, just that he's done it now in a league that is most followed and noticed the world over. So how can the young Vaibhav traverse what will be the most difficult part of his journey here on? Navigating the fanfare, adulation and overexposure that's bound to follow. And make a career, a solid career, materialize. That's the real challenge. The onus lies on those who picked and noticed and groomed Vaibhav for this big moment under the lights. They will have to make sure Vaibhav stays the course. His coaches, his parents, his close confidants, his father, whom he incidentally is very close to and watched cricket sitting on the lap of. Because Vaibhav Suryavanshi can knock bowlers out of the park surely. Last night was proof enough. But what about the Yorkers and the Googlies outside the cricket field? The most difficult task was not getting Rajasthan across the line last night. It will be now here on. US President Donald Trump's tussle with his own country continues, proving to be a very polarizing leader, especially in the sporting world. Case in point, NFL side Philadelphia Eagles. Following the Super Bowl win over Kansas City Chiefs, the Eagles were invited to the White House, a tradition where the winning side celebrates their championship victory. But only half of the team showed up. While the missing players said scheduling conflict as the reason behind their absence, could it be due to conflict of opinions or worse, an old feud that dates back to the year 2018? Our next report dives deeper.
If US President Donald Trump's second term can be summed up in 3 words, it would be Newton's third law. For every action he is taking, there is an equal, opposite and an even stronger reaction. The more invested Trump seems to be in sports, using the medium to promote his propaganda, the more the sporting industry seems to be giving it back to him. His decision to ban transgender athletes from women's sports has been met with severe backlash in various states, and the fight against it continues. But the latest developments might hit him where it matters the most, the National Football League or the NFL. The Super Bowl winners Philadelphia Eagles were invited to the White House to celebrate their championship triumph. And while 32 Eagles, including the support staff, attended the event, it is believed that half of the squad was absent. Many of these players said conflicting schedule was the cause. But is it really the actual reason? During Trump's first stint as the US president, he managed to upset the franchise. Back in 2018, when the Philadelphia Eagles won their first Super Bowl, they couldn't celebrate it at the White House. The franchise was not invited owing to the national anthem protests. Back then, there was a minor war underway between the NFL players and Donald Trump. The players were kneeling down when the US national anthem was played, this to protest people of color being targeted. But Donald Trump did not like it one bit. He called the act disrespectful to the national anthem.
Wouldn't you love to see one of these NFL owners, when somebody disrespects our flag, to say, "Get that son of a off the field right now. Out. He's fired. He's fired."
Maybe some of these players haven't quite forgotten Trump's statements just yet. Out of the notable names missing, 2 were part of the 2018 winning campaign. Brandon Graham and Josh Sweat were with the Eagles when the team was uninvited. So clearly the conflict of schedule may not be the only reason, something fans concur with. We have seen that in American sports, players are quite politically charged. When they don't like a leader, they make it very clear. LeBron James and Steph Curry, both greats in the NBA world, backed Kamala Harris during the election campaign. And they did not just show their support towards Harris, but also criticized Donald Trump openly. What's worse is that while Trump wants to use sports to promote his agendas, he clearly isn't helping his case. During the White House event, he took a needless jibe at pop star Taylor Swift, a standoff everyone is well aware of by now.
I was there along with Taylor Swift. How did that work out? How did that one work out? The Eagles scored a touchdown on their signature play, the tush push. You know what that is? Or I hope they keep that play, Coach. I don't know. What?
Swift is not connected with the NFL directly, but her impact in the sport has been massive. Ever since she started attending her partner and Kansas City Chiefs Travis Kelce's matches, the sport saw a significant bump in viewership. So clearly, Taylor Swift is quite important for the sport, which makes Trump not just a disliked figure among Swifties, but also Kansas City Chiefs faithfuls. Maybe it's Trump who's inflicting the sporting backlash upon him, and will have to tread the path quite mindfully if he intends to lead a sporting revolution in America.
Time for last serve. French club Marseille may be far from winning the league, but through the season, their passionate fans have given some iconic tifos during their campaign. We give you a sneak peek of how the gigantic banners are being made. Take a look. That wraps it up here on First Sports. I'll of course see you again tomorrow. Till then, do take care. Bye-bye.
Greeting you with aloha and namaste.
I love India.
Presence, occupation of a territory by another country pertains to India. What we saw in Kashmir.
How do you see Trump's America?
Yes, the current administration behaves differently from the previous administration.
Are you saying that there are foreign powers who are trying to bring down the current government in Syria?
Exactly.
Iran, maybe Russia too.
Prime Minister Modi committed to South-South, cooperation.
Not over 50%.
Is Ukraine prepared to pay the price for that peace?
No compromises at the cost of territorial integrity and sovereignty.